too. Yeah, I would say that too. I have a blog post that I must write today there's no reason that I haven't started this blog post yet. It is on using visual supports. Like I do that for a living and I should be able to
crank out a blog post.
I know. So I know it's like, it is on, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then I have nothing else on my agenda except to go do early voting, which is also important, but I can do that. I clicked on the Google like picture for this week and it started playing and something spooky and Halloweeny.
Which makes sense.
It's so, I mean, for today, not for this week. Yes, it totally makes sense. Because it is actually Halloween, right? I know Carolyn's got her Halloween pumpkin shirt on. She's a jack-o'-lantern. I have a little candy corn face.
Yeah, my 5-year-old's kindergarten party is in a couple hours. So I'm gonna go help out in his class this afternoon.
You can't see it, but I got my Phillies shirt on.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I have to represent.
I'm happy about that. I actually have no skin in that game. I really don't care. But
this is by my husband's request. So every time, because I wore it the first game and they won. So now I have to wear it every game.
Yes, you do.
And he asks me every morning, "You wearing your shirt today?" I said, "Yes, dear, I'm wearing my shirt."
So I know I posed this and Alyssa answered to it. So I posed this on Twitter yesterday. I have a course that I'm going to be teaching starting November 7th, an online course on creating resources to support emergent literacy. And I was looking at the tools that I'd chosen and I was like, I was waffling, like, should I talk about Canva? Should I not talk about Canva? I love Canva and I make graphics in it. And I make flyers and infographics, but it's so not accessible that I'm conflicted about whether to use it in a training where we're talking about how to make literacy resources accessible for learners with a variety of disabilities. So I'm like, what are people's thoughts? I mean, I think Canva has like come on like a huge wave of Canva, but yet you make either inaccessible images or inaccessible PDFs with it.
There's no way to make your PDF accessible in the tool that the person's using.
Sure, but then you've got another step to lay on top of it. Like you can use it, you can use the accessibility, you can run an accessibility, or I can pull things into Cami or Orbit Note or Snap and Read and make them accessible that way. But my feeling is like, do I show an inherently inaccessible tool as a part of a training on creating resources for people who require some degree of accessibility? What are people's thoughts on that?
I have many thoughts, which I know you saw some of, but I think I have yet to find a tool, maybe there's one or two that are 100% accessible and 100% like I can, without, like, Book Creator is probably the one that comes to mind, that like without a doubt I could say I could have a way that a user could access it. So to me, it's sharing tools with very transparent feedback or comments about the places that I would or would not use them. And I know that there have been efforts to talk with the Canva folks, and it's just not high on their roadmap. I don't think that they've said we hate accessibility. I think it's just really not high on their roadmap. Things like color contrast, things that like, yes, you could make them accessible, but it would take another layer of effort either on the user's part or your part once you've created that PDF. So I think it's about sharing, but sharing with the little like internal cognitive asterisk of, but here are the places, here are the things I would be like, that you as a material creator need to be aware of. And those things are universal. So whether I'm creating it in Canva or I'm making a Word document and then turning it into a PDF, those things, color contrast is color contrast. So I think it's about how you present it, and that, again, very few tools could I say blanketly any single person could access. Whiteboard.chat and Book Creator, the two that I think are most accessible.
And I mean, I work for Lesson Picks. You know, when you make a PDF or a PowerPoint in Lesson Picks, it is simply an image. That's not, you know, but people aren't putting extended amounts of text generally in a Lesson Picks resource. So either you're not, like what I'm going to show using it, like using, you know, creating some, like being able to create a book, but then the point of that isn't to have that text read aloud anyway. It's to create appropriate emergent transitional or conventional text that individual. And then if you use it in PowerPoint, you can have access, you know, as far as being able to move the pages and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I use a tool every day that is missing some accessibility in the products that it creates.
Point that out.
Yeah. And but again,
use Canva as your teachable moment, and then point out the fact that you use something every day that is not totally accessible because the world.
It's not right. But I feel like it's a little, there's like when you, I mean, like one of the things that I love to create in Canva is a graphic or an infographic, but then when I post it, I've got to do all this work to provide alt text for it. And that's a lot of work on my end, right? So sometimes I will shy away from that. And I wish there was anything that easily made a graphic that was automatically accessible. I don't know, maybe I need to show using it with Cami or using it with Orbit Note or any of those tools where it will OCR it quickly. So. Kelly, what are your thoughts? Kelly and Kelly.
I like the idea of it's a teachable moment, you know, and that not that your session is about comparing and contrasting things, but you know, that idea that people that know accessibility have had a difficult time, you know, finding one thing. So often you have to kind of move around and make decisions. And then what do you lay on top of other things, right? So I think you use it as a teachable moment.
Has anyone used Canva to make slide decks that you would use live? And are those more accessible than when you make it a PDF?
Sharon Redmond did a lot of that, and she showed it at Closing the Gap.
I should ask her.
Yeah.
I should definitely talk to Sharon. She was great with
I
that.
think she uses that every day in her classroom.
Yeah.
So she has definitely found the shortcomings.
What are other folks' favorite tools for creating resources for students for emergent literacy activities? I mean, I know I have my favorites.
Well, you know, I do a lot in Jamboard.
I love myself a Jamboard.
I do a lot in Jamboard. I've been trying to use slides a little bit more to create some materials because of that accessibility feature. Yeah.
And so one of the things I was wondering about, I haven't tried it, but maybe someone already knows. Can you use boom cards can you use two-step scanning switches with boom cards?
My favorite answer is it depends.
Yeah.
So some of them, yes, it depends on how they were created and what is the task that they're being asked to do in the boom card.
Okay.
If they are choice between two, most of them tab enter will get you to switch scanning, but some of them that are more intricate than that, there are some difficulties. They don't have like Starfall has an accessible version, like an accessible website that lists the ones that are truly like super accessible. Boom card doesn't, because it's user created. I don't think there's a like requirement that anything in that vein is. So it depends.
Okay. Just want to be able to do all the things I could do in Classroom Suite so badly.
I know exactly what you mean. We all want that. I probably do the most with either PowerPoint or Google Slides and using it not in slide view mode, but in edit mode, and using it with things like the Lesson Picks add-on or the Play Tools, where I can easily grab images to put in that can be manipulated and even make hotspots with them and stuff. So, you know, that's definitely kind of been my what
I have a
I
teacher.
use instead of that.
I have a teacher that I work with that uses Go Worksheet a lot. Her kids are fully included, so they're always, being handed things on the spot. Oh, now we're doing this page, and so then they just take a picture of it. Once they got up and running with like, how do I add voice to it? How do they kind of use it like a machine now, and it's their go-to tool, because they don't always have things ahead of time. They're not the one making it, right? They're always adapting whatever teachers give them. And the good thing that's happened with some of their elementary teachers is that they're recognizing how much work has to be done on the spot because they see it happen.
Right. Did you say that was Go Worksheets or Live Worksheets?
Go Worksheet from Attainment.
Okay. I've not tried that, so.
I have another high school that uses it, and the kids take their own pictures of things, right? And then they use their readers on top of it. So it's pretty student friendly.
Yeah, it's very similar to SnapType or SnapType Pro, if you've seen those on the iPad, where basically then you can take it, you can OCR kind of that image and then annotate on top of it.
Yeah, okay. I'm really needing things for some of our Switch users. Something more than like Tar Heel Reader and Play. We use those things, but we need more function. And we've used Choose It Maker, but I want more, more capability.
Well, Alyssa got me started with doing a recipe for Dream Reader, and so we've been doing that. I can't say that we've got it all up and running, but that's got to do with user error.
And I mean, I know, like, if you're talking specifically about Switch users, two-step Switch users, I mean, I do like to remind people, like, if you're not in slide deck mode, not in present mode, but in edit mode for either Google Slides or PowerPoint, you can use the tab key and the arrow keys and the enter key as, like, I can tab around to any image in a slide deck and use the arrow keys to move it. And so depending on the switch capabilities of the individual that you're using, or even being able to use it with an IntelliKeys keyboard, right, where you could have just those things set up as the keyboard, on the keyboard without, the old, if you get that, set up. And Alyssa, I'm pointing to Alyssa, like, anybody can see that I'm pointing to Alyssa, she'd be the person to talk to about that. You know, it does give you that interactive functionality, you know, within something that everybody kind of knows how to use, but doesn't always know that, oh, I could do that with it. It will, you know, it'll allow me to tab through. And if you preset things up in such a way that it makes it easier for it, like I've done it with like kind of an open-ended play activity where like I've had like a background of a haunted house, and then I had a pumpkin and a witch and a ghost and a monster as the images that move around, and a person could tab through those and then use an arrow key to move them to someplace in the haunted house. And it may even be a matter of peer assisted or adult assisted with some independent, like that you could independently, at least even just with a single switch, tab, and start like to choose the one that you want to move, at least to give some user control. And again, that's just at a super simple, you can do that in Google Slides, you can do that in PowerPoint, and just be in edit mode, not in slide view mode.
I have a couple school systems that I work with in Louisiana. I'm kind of like looking through my computer, like what else do people do that are really into Choose It Maker. So from Inclusive TLC, and they're also big Help Kids Learn, and taking advantage of those things. But then to make your own and customize it with all like eye gaze, switch access, all the different types of switch access, because they get that, right? Like they understand it. And so you can create activities that immediately are accessible to, you know, using them up on your smartboard or using them on an eye gaze system or using it with switch users, and they don't have to recreate them every time just because it's a different access point. But all the students can use that. So they've been adapting materials. I know they take some of their things from Unique and put that into Choose It Maker. So they've been kind of mixing and matching when they don't have the accessibility that they need within like News to You or Unique or what else do they learn? They've taken some of the PDFs, well, this is a different group, has taken some of the PDFs from Readtopia and made them switch accessible through things like Choose It Maker.
Yeah, we have a lot of, all of our classrooms, K2 in our district, including our self-contained classrooms, are using UFly for their main phonics instruction. And a good chunk of UFly is presented in Google Slides. So we're utilizing what's there already. And I have a couple of iGaze users that are utilizing the UFly, what is made for the teacher instruction, but utilizing that to either make choices or do their work, trying to kind of minimize the double work that has to happen since the slides already exist for UFly.
Well, I'm now like forcing myself to go back into boom cards and seeing, and sometimes I get turned off by something like that person. I mean, like I'm a very techie person, but when I go into boom cards to create something, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of options here, right? Like personally for me. I always get a little bit.
And it's kind of a little bit in the realm of, it's like teachers pay teachers because it's user created. You don't really have control over what's there or how it's made for things that other people make.
Right.
But
And
yeah, most of them I would say go back to doing what Kelly already said in terms of like either Choose It Maker or the other Switch website that I just blanked on that you said, the subscription.
the Go worksheet or
No.
Oh, you mean Help Kids Learn?
Kids Learn.
Same
Yeah,
company,
Help Kids Learn.
right? Like same company.
Yeah, Help Kids Learn. So I think, to me, those are the places. And then most of my 2-switch scanners very quickly are on a robust communication system of some sort, which then helps because a lot of times it becomes okay, your job in this task is to tell the somebody else what to do. So, you know, a lot of like user directed support. Does it always work out that way? No.
I'm looking to see what the cost for Choose It Maker is.
It's not bad. It's like 5 users is $2.99. Then you can get site district licenses.
So $299 for 5 users.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I like my lesson picks with PowerPoint for $36 a year.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell Binko to work on this. Can be his next project.
yeah, we have some.
If I say the word classroom suite to him, you can just guess what his face
What?
response is. It has been a long-term ask, and we looked at everything when it was open sourced from AbleNet to AT Makers. We looked at the code that's there, and part of it is that it's just like really old code. Everything that it was written in is really old, and so the cost of taking it in its format, in the way that it was coded and written, and making it a web-based interface was a big jump.
Which is one of the reasons why it died.
Which is one of the reasons, because when it got passed to AbleNet, nothing happened in terms of re-upping or updating any of the code that's there.
Believe me, I've been asking my husband. I was like, "Can't you just rewrite it?"
Well, and trust
has
me,
time.
you are not the only one making the requests. Probably every week we get one request into the IntelliKeys kind of format, and it would be great if it also came with, we have all the programs, we have all the activities, we have all the templates that were made by everyone who ever made anything. They just handed it on over, right? Everything that was in the activity share, everything, we have it all.
Yeah.
We just haven't been able to get it from point A to point B. And you know, it may be still something that comes because we're you know, we're aware there's still a need, but
Yeah. I was telling him the other day, I was like, I can never do my frog game again. He's like, we can recreate it. I was like, no, I don't sound now like I sounded then when I was rapping my song.
right. It definitely is something that there's just not a something else out there that does that. And I think I know it was very hard to continue updates, which is why it died, because of its robust and delicate setup, we'll say.
Yeah.
No, I feel like when they went from like the original, where it was just so, they tried to make it simpler, but they actually made it more complicated. Like when they,
in every direction possible, including what the code looks like.
right.
Yeah, if we could have, we definitely would have, for sure. And there's still this little piece of hope I have in the back, Kelly, but I have to be 50 feet away from Binko if I ask the question.
Yeah, and I like my job, so I will never bring that up.
Hey, maybe we can get Bill Zig to retire and let him rewrite it.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. I know
Different
that.
Bill.
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know. Ziegler ever retire, that'll be the end.
That'll be the world will come to an end. But my husband's threatening to retire in 2 years. Maybe I could talk him into it.
Ah.
But I'd have to start educating him now.
Yeah, it's a big ask.
Oh, it's huge. And it's sad because I was just thinking this morning, in fact, that I could really use an IntelliKeys. You know?
Well, I mean, and that's what I have found. Some people have moved from on to Choose It Maker, like the IntelliPix people, right? Like they can do some of that stuff. IntelliKeys, I don't know. I mean, we tried, so what was it called? A Billy pad, you know, we tried that for a while, and that didn't really get, or the concept keyboard, neither one of those really had enough life in them.
Right, right. Absolutely not. And I do think, again, we have a pretty designated use. If a kid, we have users all the time that are like, I can't update my computer because the IntelliKeys and the key guard is the only thing I can type with, which is why we have the adapter we have for those standard overlays. But I don't really ever see that it would come back in the format it was in. Like we don't even have the ability really to make any more IntelliKeys. If you want to be fascinated, you can go back and look on the AT Makers YouTube and see Bill take one apart and kind of show you what the technology was underneath it. It's not something, I think if we went to any manufacturer today, they'd just kind of laugh us away. Like, you want me to do what? And there's zero profit margin. And I do have a random question. Has anybody got a funded AAC device with the new Proloquo done yet? We're having a problem with finding a vendor that will fund because it is just subscription based. And I know the same thing happened with SimPod. Isn't SimPod subscription based? So I don't know if Medicaid is funding SimPod. No, Able.
They won't?
Nope.
Oh,
Not the new Proloquo.
okay.
Have you talked to like Aaron Sheldon or any of the folks that work with?
Not yet.
Because they
Yeah.
might know a way to word things or to, is it the kind of thing where you can buy, 5 years of it, of the license
Under
and
the
it's-
Medicaid, yeah.
And then, and by then probably, you might need things change so much, you're going to need
A
another.
new device anyway. Yeah.
I mean, the reality is that's a silly thing to not make fundable, because think of all the other tools that are only subscription based, but yet people have to have them for workplace accommodations or, other things that, think about. And even for health, there's got to be other resources out there, like for blind and visually impaired, or for hearing, for deaf and hard of hearing, that are subscription based, but yet get funded and paid for.
And most of those, so there are things like Zoom Text and JAWS that are subscription based. But most of the time, like here in Florida, DBS, Division of Blind Services, covers them. So they're not getting through like a Medicaid insurance kind of thing because they come through DBS.
Right, but that's still a government funded, right?
Yeah, I know it should be equal, but it doesn't
Should
seem
be.
like
and I have to
is.
say, I've not tried to fund a device in 15 years, right? It's been a very long time that I've been in a position where I have needed to fund devices, because it's just not the job that I've had. And I guess the other person I would talk to would be Jen Schubring, because she does a lot of funding stuff.
That's my random question for the day.
It's about as random as my Canva question, so there we go. Isn't that why we're here, to ask random questions? All right, who's dressing up for Halloween tonight?
Been there, done it yesterday.
Because you have Lola.
Yes, and we have, our town does Halloween on the Sunday closest to Halloween. So we are done.
We're not allowed to do Halloween on a Sunday here in where I live, or have fireworks for that matter.
I was just reading about the history of Halloween with a student that I tutor, and that was like the reading material she chose. And it's so interesting because there is absolutely religious, there are absolutely religious origins to it. So it's so interesting when and then it's become a secular holiday. And anyways, it was very interesting. Anybody that wants to read more about it, I'll put the link in the chat. It's in ReadWorks. It was a very interesting, let me pull it up. It was a really interesting article. Let me find it.
Well, I've already failed as a parent to get the costume that my daughter wants, and I've had to endure the moaning about that. Not for lack of trying, but shipping has not been our friend on this one.
I'm so glad my kids are 26 and 24. They figured out their own Halloween costumes, and they have been for a while. And where we live in the middle of nowhere on a mile-long driveway off of a road that nobody goes down. There's no, it wouldn't be a safe road to walk on. So we have never had a trick-or-treater in 24 years at my house. And so we were originally going to go over to a friend who does live in a neighborhood who trick-or-treats, but then I realized I have to be up at 3:30 in the morning. Never mind, we're not going anywhere for Halloween. I'm going to be in bed by 8. But yeah. But if I were dressing up, I'd have to probably pull out my witch's hat.
You dress up as a squishy.
Ooh,
A squishy next year, maybe.
all right, I have a question. Somebody explain ReadWorks to me.
It's
Looks
a
nice.
free- yeah, I just put, that's the article. So it's a free, it is a free tool for, you do have to sign up for it, but it's totally free. It has lots of, a nice range of content, literary text, informational text. It has like vocabulary activities. It has some really nice, like it has a nice tool called the Reading Mindset Snapshot that allows students to kind of track what they might be interested in reading, to help them kind of help support a joy of reading with it. It has a lot of nice tools. It's got some great accessibility, like speech to text and stuff like that, and some student progress tools. I don't actually use the student progress tools. I just use some of the reading passages because I can look at it by Lexile level and sort and all of that.
That's
It
fantastic.
has-
We may just have a new tool in the house. Thank you.
Yeah, it really has some nice things where it can be shown more as where many of the articles can be shown more as an article style or as a book style, like where it's going to have
Right.
some more illustrations and it's the same text. It would just how it's used. So I really like it a lot.
Does it have to be computer, or can you get to it through an iPad? Or hasn't tried that idea yet?
I haven't tried that to see if there's an app for that. I mean, obviously you could probably get to it on an iPad with
Web-based.
internet,
Yeah,
but whether you can, and I haven't even looked at, can I download? And then they have some differentiated passages also. So it's a little different than like Newsy or something like that. Like Newsy will have like the same passage at different levels, but then you can find ones where the same thing with that. Can you download things? I honestly haven't, I never
oh,
used.
I'll have to find
You
out.
have to play with it,
because you may have
exactly.
just given
Yeah,
us another option here. Thank you.
yeah.
Us over 21s have some access issues.
Right, you can print it.
Yeah.
And it can be assigned. So I guess it's just a matter then with the printing, can it be, is it accessible text or not?
Yeah, cool. I
So,
look forward to trying this out.
yeah, yeah. Like here, if I can share my screen really quickly, I'll share my screen really quickly. And you can see, here's like one, on Pluto, it has you can have it listened to, you can set the speed. And this is an article, this is how it is as an article, right? Or I can have it as the ebook version, and it's got pages that I can go through.
Nice.
I feel like it's just set awkwardly right now. If I did it whiteboard, there we go. So I can have it. So depending on what the look of it you want, and then the ebook, it'll,
Poor Pluto.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bad enough.
yeah. So it's a nice-
Even that on a smart board wouldn't be a bad thing. So
right. And they do have like different ways you can look at it on the smart board and stuff. So
Yeah,
I-
and my teachers use it a lot because you can assign things to your class, right?
right,
Like,
exactly.
If,
So
if-
just
if
say-
you weren't doing it one-on-one, you could say, okay, here's the article I want you to read, and you answer comprehension questions. And they have like an article of the day. They have
Right.
like featured
might be
articles
really
and
cool.
stuff.
yeah, the
Right.
other one that I really like too is commonlit.org. I use that all the time also. And that does have the ability to like assign something to like have it as a PDF. It'll send it as a accessible PDF. So you can have things downloaded, but with the online version, it'll have like, you can assign it and there's comprehension questions and vocabulary supports and text to speech and highlighting tools and all of that. So another one I like both of those a lot, Common Lit and ReadWorks, and they're both free. You have
Cool.
to sign up, but they're both free.
Right. Right. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sure. Those are my go-tos with my,
We have such a wide range of abilities here that, I mean, very wide range of
Yeah.
abilities that
And what's
I
nice
like that
about
there's-
both places is it's very high interest material, even if
Yeah.
you're changing the lexile to it. It's
That's
stuff
what we need,
that's gonna be like, oh my gosh, not like, why do I have to read this? It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Let me learn more about it.
Right.
And especially for young adults, I could see where it's, it's high interest, but yet, just the right challenge in terms of reading.
right. Right.
absolutely. And there is
Perfect.
Spanish texts in
Yeah.
Common Lit. I think there are also in, I'm not 100% sure. I feel like there may be also in ReadWorks. I haven't looked at it for a Spanish text.
Cool.
I don't see it, but it may still be. Yeah, but they're both tools that I really, really like.
Great.
Free, I love free tools.
I see a Wakelet in my future. Anybody has anything that might work, with our varying degrees of population and, limited access and limited funding, I'll take any of your
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah, I like both of those because it's really not even any like premium version. Like
Mhm.
you don't, they're just free. They're,
They're funded, which is nice.
yeah. I mean, not necessarily as appealing for older kids, depending on the older kids. I mean, you do use this with the student that Kelly and I share that is 19, but I do like Unite for Literacy, which are picture books, but you can find lots of picture books that are very
Right. Right.
respectful.
I'm looking at, looking at.
Yeah,
three or four.
and it has different languages for narration and so if you have somebody whose home language.
Yeah. And we do.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I do find a lot of very age respectful picture books in there, more so than other places that
Right.
I,
Right.
Right.
No, it's perfect. Thank you very, very much.
Sure. Of course.
That is my new task, is to find things to engage everybody that everybody can use, get our new
Like seriously,
meetings
like
up
this
and running.
is, I'm
And
sure.
they're adult friendly. I
Yeah.
think in terms of the educator that's utilizing, they're kind
the-
of
Or the parents that might
for
That's
the
be.
that-
parents,
I mean,
or
like,
the
The
caregivers,
DSP, the DSP
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
accessing.
how cute is this
the
one? Like,
caregiver, yeah.
costume,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's totally like, I mean, come on.
Who doesn't like dressed up
Wants
dogs?
dressed up in costumes. I mean, I could totally send this to my 24-year-old daughter with a college degree and she would
She would love it.
love it. So,
Well, thank you very, very much. These are already bookmarked.
anytime. All of those are in the book too.
Which is Well, you can't see it, but it's over there.
I'm joking. I don't need to put it out there on this, but yeah. I do share these all the time.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm looking forward now to playing with these in my spare time.
In all that spare time. I'm gonna jump out a little early because I have to go do another pre-K eval because the kids just keep coming in. And
I love the pre-K.
no, I don't mind. I just get to go play for an hour. But
I know. I miss pre-K a lot. That's like one of the things about being in schools that I do miss is the pre-K kids. And they're coming in needier and needier from my friends that I hear because
that and we have a gap of kids that did not see us between 3 and 6 and
right,
are
that's
now
exactly like, that's what I
kindergartners.
mean, is those
Like,
kids that just
This
didn't-
is a literal or pre-K age, but like this is we're seeing tons of kindergartners that absolutely should have been in early intervention that are showing up with no IEP, no IFSP, no nothing, and you're
Right.
like, you got needs, and I can't do what I need to do to help you yet.
Yeah, exactly. So well, go play with
I'm
them.
gonna go play. See,
Go
I have
play
my
with them.
adapted scissors ready.
Go play with them for me.
Alrighty, bye
All right, I'm
guys.
gonna have to log off too, but you guys have a wonderful Halloween.
You too.
You too.